Let's do this. Don't mind my adjustments. Welcome to the Anna Hummel Show. August 11th, 2023, Friday. Got a lot of things going on this weekend, in life, in the show, outside of the show. Today is a big day for me. I feel like in every woman's life, there's really three major events. It's, you have children, you get married, and you cut your hair off. I really feel like that is the trifecta of events. It's a very big deal for people to cut their hair, especially women, and especially when they have very long hair, because I understand that most people value, especially if they have like nice hair and they're known for their long hair, and it's like one of their signature features, to just cut it off seems insane. It's hair suicide. But I got the idea in my head last week that I was just going to cut my fucking hair off. Not quite like a Sinead O'Connor. Not quite that extreme, but something drastic. I was in the mood for a change. And I was about, 30 minutes away from walking into a Fantastic Sam's and just saying, get it off of me. I'm tired of it. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to deal with it. I can't do anything with it. It's just essentially like it's always up, it's always back, it's always braided. Get it out of here. But I thankfully ran into Nick the Gun Guy. By the grace of God, I ran into him, and his girlfriend is a phenomenal hairdresser, and I know this because I did some investigation into her work, and fantastic. Several calibers above someone that you would find at, say, Supercuts or Fantastic Sam's. So he said schedule an appointment with, I think I could say her, Amber. She's been to Barb. And I said, okay. And I was only able to get an appointment today. And this was, again, like a week and a half ago. And I was like, God damn it. Because I really had like the impulse to do it like that day. Like I wanted to go in that day and just cut it all off. But I was like, this is probably a good thing that I can ruminate and I can think, because usually when we have impulses, I mean, I have no science to back this up, but I would say that more likely than not, those impulses probably aren't leading you to a better decision if cooler heads were to prevail. So I said, all right, I'll have some time to sit and think, and maybe I'll change my mind. And instead, I feel like I've double, triple down. Like, I'm like, let's get this as short as possible. Now, here's the thing. I haven't had short hair since pre-puberty. So, and my hair was different before I went through puberty. And so I don't even know how it's going to react. Brian from Philly, $20. Thank you, Brian from Philly. I appreciate you. You're always so supportive of me and the show as a whole, the whole operation. Very much appreciate it. So I don't even know how my hair is going to react, what it's going to do when it's, shoulder length and above. And I've taken a lot of things into account, how my face looks, how my hair is typically. It's frizzy, especially in this Florida heat and humidity. And I've also taken into account the reaction that I will get on the show. Hello, JHM31999 on the super chat. Thank you so much. Very much appreciate it. I hope you know that. I've taken into account the reaction I may get from you guys and for from the members of the show, and I've taken that into account. And I've also kind of calculated the fact that you guys will not be a fan, and the people on the show will make fun of me heavily for doing something that most people are regarding as stupid. And I am willing to take that risk. And I basically told myself, I'm like, listen, you cut it off. And I know it's like hair grows back, but And it grows back fast. It does. But sometimes 5 months, when 5 months passes, like if we think about what was 5 months ago, March, maybe. You think about March and you go, wow, that felt like it was just yesterday. But then if we think about like you have to wait until February for something or January, whatever's 5 months from now, you're like, fuck, that's kind of a long time. Time moves slowly day to day, but fast when you think about the past. It's kind of like one of those things. Like a day can be long, but the weeks and the months and the years are short, sort of a thing. So I've taken that into consideration. I ran the calculations and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. And because I've hyped this up so much, I know I have to go even shorter than, I normally would, just to really kind of, stick it to the man, because Bubba's like throwing you won'ts. So I'm very excited to do that. And again, this could totally blow up in my face. And I want to take full responsibility in the event that I turn out ugly, that it is not Amber's fault, because this is what I'm requesting. You can't go to a seafood place and say, I hate crab, but I'm going to order the crab croquettes, whatever you call them, the crab cakes. I want a crab cake. And they go, well, do you like crab? And you're like, no, but I want a crab cake. And then you order the crab cake, and it's the most delicious crab cake that one has ever made, but you're like, ew, I hate crab, and you spit it out. So I just want to say that I take full responsibility for the mess I may make of myself, and we're just going to see how it goes. We're going to roll the dice on this one, which is not really, I'm not one for gambling, but I'm in the mood for novelty and change. I think that's what it is. And knowing that it's that what I'm looking for isn't to look better. It's just to look different. And I want to make that distinction. And it's weird when that happens sometimes with people. You're like, I don't necessarily need to look better. I just need to change. And I'm trying to get to like the inner psychology of why people, especially women, like when they change their look, it's such a thing. When you change it up like that, is it because I'm doing it for attention? Possibly. Is it just that I want to take a chance and go, maybe I can pull it off? I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that I've had a very, strong emotional attachment to my hair. I think most women do, where it's, especially when you have nice hair. I have great hair. I mean, it's fried and it's gross, but right now, but it's nice. It's good hair. I'm the type of person that people would come up to and go, I love your extensions or something. And I just like, fuck, shit's real, man. It's real, baby. So, and people have always told me I had nice hair. So then to go and just, cut it off, not myself, but to request to just remove it seems like it might not be the thing to do. But you know what? Fuck it. Let's go. So I'm probably not going to post any pictures this weekend. It's really weird seeing pictures of just Tyler behind me. Probably not going to post any pictures this weekend so that we can get a big pop on Monday. So you guys tune in to see how horrible I look. And I'm ready for the wrath of Chad. I'm ready for the wrath of Bubba. I'm ready for the wrath of Dan. I'm ready for it. And, again, if it looks like shit, I mean, it sucks. Radio used to be a thing where you didn't have to be seen. Not that I even really lived and thrived in those times. I wasn't even involved in radio. I was always there was always like a visual component to any radio show I was on, but I remember what it was like to listen to the radio as a kid and not know what that person looked like. And that was, I was intrigued, but it was also cool to be like, oh, I think they sound like this, but I don't really know what they look like. But we don't live in that age anymore. So I understand that I'm a public figure, kind of, I guess. Yeah, I mean, anybody that puts themselves out on the internet, I guess, is somewhat of a public figure. So, yeah, I guess I'm a public figure. And that means when you do that, you are subject to ridicule of others. And I'm a big proponent of letting people say what they want to say, even if it hurts my feelings. So we'll see how that goes. And that is going to be, I think my appointment's at 3 p.m. today. And so, yeah, I'm looking to take off probably close to a foot. So we'll see how that goes. Could blow up in my face. 813-90-BUBBA. And then to add, hopefully not add insult to injury, but to make the stakes even higher, we got a very special brunch coming up. Me and my girlfriends. There's some girlfriends this weekend. So they'll lie to me. It's very hard to get an honest answer from your friends because your friends love you. Unlike you assholes, except for a few. I'm from Philly, Scout and Big Gulp, like they like me, but a lot of you don't, and you make it very known. You're very vocal about how much you dislike me, and fair enough. I barely like myself, but my friends who I hang out with, my good girlfriends, they will lie to my face. So you have to just kind of disregard that. I probably won't even ask them, like, what do you think? I'm sure will weigh in and tell me how great it looks, even if I look like, fucking Bozo the Clown. They will still hype me up because I want to say that's what friends do, but sometimes when you're really lucky, like me, you have a few friends that will tell you the truth. And I got like one and a half friends that will tell me the truth. And the one that will tell me the truth, she said some pretty not painful things to me, but things that like I know and everybody knows, but like friends aren't supposed to say, like, yeah, you're not the hottest girl in the world. Like she said stuff like that to me, which I know and she knows and everybody knows. But when someone says that to your face, it's like, whoa. But it's where we've established a sense of truth so that when she does tell me that I look good or she likes something I've done on the radio or whatever, I know that she's telling me the truth. And that is priceless, to know that someone is properly telling you the truth. And some people can't handle the truth. That's for sure. So, you also have to wonder if sometimes people don't want to be surrounded by people who are giving them their true opinion on something, but I do. I value truth, not even just when it comes to personal stuff, but when it comes to trying to figure out what's going on, what's the deal with, I'm trying to think like in the health sphere, eggs. Sometimes you're like eggs. They say eggs are amazing for you, and then eggs are horrible for you. Then it's like you should eat only the whites, and then another guy will tell you you only eat the yellows, the yolk. And you go, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Everyone is telling me something different, whether it's eggs or it's a global pandemic. It's hard to navigate what the truth is. And that can also be the case in your personal life. And I'm the type of person where I would much rather I respect you for hurting my feelings. Not you, chat, so don't get too frisky. But I'm saying when a good friend who cares about you and your feelings tells you something that they know will hurt your feelings because as collectively we value the truth and they're, somewhat obligated to tell me the truth because that's something that we value, then I go, you know what? Word up. I appreciate you telling me something that's hurting my feelings. And it takes a lot of self-development to get to that point where you can separate, like, okay, this sucks, but we're dealing with it and we're accepting it. So anyways, excited for that. Excited to look worse. 813-90 Bubba, if you'd like to call in and weigh in on the conversation. Would very much appreciate it. Also, it is kind of nice broadcasting to, somewhat of a crowd, a little bit of a crowd, because a lot of you have experience doing things that I either am thinking about doing, whether it's Ambien or something like that, just throwing that out there, or maybe a place I want to visit, and some of you have been. I would like to know. I just booked a flight to Denver for a wedding that was barely invited to. This is now maybe the third or fourth wedding that I've been invited to sans a +1. It's like what do you call it? It's a curse. It's the lack of +1 curse where I'm a fringe friend. I almost didn't make the cut for the guest list, but they let me in the door, but they said they shut it right behind me. They go, no +1 for you. Sorry, no soup for you. No +1 for you. Okay. So I've been going to these weddings by myself. And to be honest with you, it's been fantastic, especially when I don't have to drive. I don't mind it at all. And, this time is no exception. So we're going to Denver. And by we, I mean me and Blitz and I are going to Denver. He's going to be doing his own thing while I'm at the wedding. And it's funny because, I think most men can probably agree with this. It'd be fantastic to go to somewhat of a vacation destination, however, vacation destination Denver is. But it is. I mean, like, you got the Rockies, you got hiking, you got Pikes Peak, you got fucking Colorado Springs, and I'm sure there's some caves and some shit and all that sort of stuff. A lot of trees, mountains. And how wonderful it would be to go to a place like that and then not have to do the bullshit of the wedding. Because weddings are really they're for the family and they're for women. Us bitches, we love weddings. I don't want to speak for everybody. I don't want to paint with a broad brush here, but a lot of time, I mean, any girl wants to kind of like get dressed up, look nice, and then, drink for free. And thankfully, they're not having a dry wedding. Those are horrible. Don't invite me to those. I don't think I've ever been to a dry wedding before. I imagine it would be not great. Not great. And not so much because there's not alcohol and you need alcohol to have fun, although, yes, you do. And it certainly helps ease the social tensions of interacting with strangers for, more than 5 minutes at a time. Because what happens when you go and see people you haven't seen in a while, or people you don't know and you're meeting, there's a lot of there's a lot of fake intrigue that takes place. Like, oh, wow, you're a consultant for some fucking shit I don't care about. Great. And there's a lot of fake smiling. There's a lot of polite laughing. And that can stress the nervous system sometimes. You're like, because and I'm sure you've experienced this, where you just kind of got to take a break. You got to go, got to take 5. You just go and you go sit in the bathroom and you go, I don't want to talk to nobody for the next 7 minutes as I sit and pretend to take a shit right here. We've all had that experience where it's just like, hi, how are you? But what really helps, and not only like makes it easier, but makes it almost enjoyable, is alcohol. Alcohol is awesome for just lubricating social situations that would otherwise be awkward, shitty, boring, whatever. Like, alcohol makes you feel like you have a friend. And I'm a great drunk. Not trying to brag. I am a fantastic drunk. Many people are not. Many people are not good drunks at all, but I'm a good one. I haven't had an episode where someone had to take care of me for many years. I can even tell you the date that I gave up on taking shots and binge drinking. I was like, that can never happen again. And it was Easter Eve of 2019. I call it my Holocaust. And I was, 2019, 32. April of 19, 32. I don't know if I was just coming out of hurricane epilepsy, so maybe it was a little bit of the buildup of that, and I was dealing with a lot of stress. And I think it was also I just wanted to have a good time and didn't realize, you'd think that someone who has had as many nights out as myself through college and while traveling and, just being a young person, you would think that one would learn their limits by that point. But every once in a while, even as a bona fide adult, and you'll see this at BARP this year and every year, you just, it gets away from you. You're having too much fun. And what happens when you're having too much fun? You want more fun. You keep thinking that the bar of fun can be elevated. And you don't know when you've hit the peak. It's exactly like gambling. You're like, do we buy? Do we sell more? With the crypto game, I want to hold on because maybe, Bitcoin will go up and then I'll sell. I don't want to sell when it's too low. You never really know when the peak is. And sometimes that happens when you're not used to drinking, or you haven't had too much to drink in a while, or you have a new type of liquor or wine and you don't know how it affects with you, or you're tired. Are you dehydrated? All these things it's a science. It's like, it's like baking. And so every time you drink, you think when you drink more, you will always you can elevate the fun bar. And you can until you can't, until you're on the other side of that parabola. And then all of a sudden you're tanking and just spiraling out of control. And sometimes that can happen. I've had that happen to me on alcohol a few times. I've had that happen to me with drugs a few times when I got a little pill popping happy because I just thought, you know what, this isn't happening quick enough, so let me double up. and almost immediately you regret that decision. You go, why did I do that? Now I'm in a world of shit. You know what? You know what's a mistake that I make all the time that I'm sure you guys do too? Here I am talking about health and fasting and all this bullshit. I overeat all the time. All the fucking time. I eat too fast and I overeat. And then we've all been in that situation where it's like, okay, now I just have to feel like shit for a few hours. You're slow, you're sluggish, you don't feel good. I mean, and especially like in the heat, I feel like if I have to walk around, just like my ankles swell. Like I'm like a full-on pregnant woman, but I'm just full of like, fajitas. It's disgusting. And you feel like shit. And oftentimes you just want to keep stuffing more stuff in your mouth. I'm like, maybe I need tea. Maybe I need more water. It's like, bitch, just sit down and shut the fuck up and stop putting stuff in you because you're just bloating yourself even more. So that's a mistake I make a lot. And then you regret it. So where was I going with this? The drinking, it's Denver. So we're going to Denver. Very excited about it. Just bought the ticket, and this is where you guys come in. I traced it back. I walked it back. I want to take medication for altitude sickness. I think it's called Diamox. I think that's the brand name. I don't know what the actual drug's name is. I think it's just the acetaminophen. I'm making that shit up. I don't know. I've never taken it before. I don't precisely know how it works. But if any of you have had issues with altitude sickness and you're trying to mitigate against it, because here's the thing. I'm flying in, and then the night that I'm flying, oh, no, I lied. The next day I'm flying in is event 1. And I know that altitude sickness and the malaise and the just feeling nauseous and feeling like shit like only sets in sometimes 12 hours after you land and can last for like 3 to 4 days. So I'm really trying to, especially on top of drinking and interacting with people, I don't want to be bedridden, feeling like just complete asshole. So I'm going to try to be different this time, because last time when I went to Denver, I did not fare well because I just thought I could muscle through it. And I was like, I'm not a pussy. Like I can deal with a lot of shit. I'll be fine. I'm fine. So I didn't hydrate properly. I didn't take ibuprofen, which apparently is helpful. I didn't drink Gatorade. I didn't do any of the right things, and then I felt like shit for 3 of the 4 days. So trying to plan a little bit better. So if you guys have any advice as to how to deal with altitude sickness, I prefer just taking drugs. I'm not a big fan of big pharma, but with shit like this where it's not chronic, it's just an acute situation, then I don't mind popping a few pills. Okay. Yes. Sometimes I am a pill popper. Sometimes it's just the easiest thing to do. And yeah, I talk a lot of shit about big pharma. I do. I think that they are demons from hell. But sometimes it's fun to dance with the devil. That is what I will say about that. Hello, who's this?
It's Florida Stanley.
What's up, Florida Stanley? What's going on?
Hey, I have a suggestion for you of what you can take to help with the nausea and the altitude sickness.
Fantastic.
It's over the counter. It's called omeprazole, and it's specifically made for nausea. The thing is, though, it takes a few days you only take one a day. You take it as soon as you wake up. Just take it. You don't know. You can take it on an empty stomach.
Can you say it again? I want to write it down.
Omeprazole. And you have to start taking it 3 days before your trip.
Yeah, that's how the other one is.
Every morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you continue to take it while you're there. Don't stop taking it.
Oh, I won't. I'll take all the pills.
Yeah, so just one a day and start taking it 3 days before, and you'll be fine.
Fantastic. And again, is this going to mitigate my symptoms or eliminate my symptoms, or yes?
If you get nausea at altitude, it will completely eliminate it.
Fantastic. Now, do you think I guess you're not a doctor, but I was thinking about just stacking a few things,
I mean, it's not going to look at it's over the counter. I don't think it's going to hurt anything if you stack stuff on top of it.
Yeah.
Just don't take more than one a day.
Okay. And you've taken that when you went to a place of high altitude and you were fine?
Yeah. Well, and I have IBS. Sometimes I'll go days where I feel sick. So I'll start taking it then. And then in 2 days, I'm fine.
Fantastic. I will probably take. Sorry, this mic is driving me fucking crazy. I'll just have to hold it the whole show. Yes, fantastic. I will definitely take that advice. I wrote it down. I just want to take all the things so that I can have a great experience while I'm there and not feel like I'm fucking dying. Because last time it was really bad.
Start with that.
Yeah,
that'll help.
Okay, wait. And have you experienced altitude sickness before? Because maybe you're just you're not prone to that sort of thing.
No, I have not experienced altitude sickness, but I know for nausea it does help.
Okay,
so
all right.
If you do get nauseous at altitude, it is going to eliminate the nausea.
All right. Okay. I'll look into it.
Okay.
Thank you, Florida Stanley. Have a great weekend.
Yep, you too. Bye.
All right. I turned my own mic off like the radio pro that I am. Another thing to look out for, the heat. Folks, it's getting hot. You need to hydrate. And I don't just mean in Maui, which is... that's a shit show. I saw that there are, I think, 1,000 people that are unaccounted for. Yikes. So that means they found 55, 56, whatever the death toll is now. That's how many bodies they found, but unaccounted for, Maui's not that big of an island. I've been once. I was probably at Lahaina, I think. I don't really remember. I went to Hawaii twice with my family when I had a cohesive family back in the day. But to think that 1,000 people are unaccounted for on not a small, but it's certainly not like a giant island is frightening because I'm assuming that most of those people are fucking dead. And that is a scary, scary situation. Hold up. Brian from Philly, another $5. Drink beet juice for altitude sickness. Are we just making shit up? Thank you, Brian from Philly. I appreciate you. Beef? Beet. You said beet juice. I'm like, this motherfucker knows I'm a vegetarian. Beet juice. Okay. Sure. Yeah. I like beets. I'll drink all the beet juice as long as I just don't get sick for the wedding because I got a cute dress and I want to attend and be there and be present and not feel like I'm, just trying to play defense. Like I really want to play offense at this wedding, have a good time with my new, G.I. Jane haircut. So. But yeah, the fires in Maui, it's one of those things where you're like, oh man, that sucks. And then you're like, oh, okay. It's hard to have compassion for every tragedy that we come across. Although this one seems next level, obviously because it's technically on American soil. And we definitely have more compassion for Americans than we do for people from other countries. And that's not to say that's because we're arrogant fuck nuggets. That has nothing to do with that. It's just closer to home. I feel like you have more compassion for people from your own place than others. That's just natural. If something, a tragedy happened in Florida, the Pulse shooting or something like that, you go, holy shit, that's fucking an hour away from me. That is close. That is people I probably know some of those people versus like, oh, some shit happened in Japan, Fukushima. You're like, oh, fuck. Well, I mean, shit. Hope the hibachi houses are okay. Like, you're just like, okay, it's so far removed. This is kind of middle ground because, Hawaii is certainly America, but also it's not part of the mainland. I feel like it feels a little different. Like it's some land we just kind of picked up along the way, like a Puerto Rico, like a Guam, like a Hawaii. Beautiful islands, by the way. Beautiful islands. Like I said, I've been there twice before. It is stunning scenery. And I haven't really felt the wrath of locals not wanting tourists there. But it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, you're a local and you don't want the tourists there, but the tourists are the ones that are paying for your bills. Like if 80-90% of the economy runs on tourism, you better fucking be nice to those assholes because if they stop coming, you stop eating. So you'd think that they would be a little bit more, I don't want to say gracious, but dude, you got great real estate. You're living on a fucking Pacific island. It's a tropical paradise. People want to come visit it. Don't hate them for that. But I'm sure they get fucked because like they have homes and then, resorts come and they go, that's mine now. Get the fuck out of here. And money always wins. Money, you're never gonna win against the money, the true money. You can't do it. And I'm learning that more and more these days. And it's very sad. But when we talk about the, when we were talking about people dying in the fire, I don't know if you guys had these like thought experiments or thoughts as a child, but I remember from a very early age, I must have been like 11. I remember, I think I was like in the shower, I was in my bedroom or something. And I just got into like a deep, like hypnotic dream state, but I was awake and I was like, what is the worst way to die? What would be the absolute worst way to die? I'm like, is drowning worse, or do you think that burning to death would be worse? Because I think I was learning about, I remember what it was. I think I was in 10th grade, and we were learning about Joan of Arc, and they're like, this bitch got burned at the stake for some shit. I forget about the story. Joan of Arc, she probably went against something. She was French. The bitch, like, went against the monarchy or something. I'm probably making this up. And they caught her. I don't know if they accused her of being a witch, maybe, or just blasphemous or something. And they took that bitch and they put her, they like tied her up like she was going to almost get crucified. But then they just lit it on fire and she just burned to death. And that really disturbed me, I think. I think that was the first time I was told of a public figure that got burned to death. And I'm like, that's horrific. And I'm like, what would be worse, that or drowning? Because drowning seems like pretty shitty too. So, when we talk about that sort of stuff, I'm always like, what is the worst way to die? What would be the worst? And you just hope that your body has been engineered in such a way where when it gets really bad, it just shuts off. Like Dan was saying, you lose consciousness because the pain is too great. Like that would be great. Or maybe the adrenaline is so high. We've all been in a situation, I'm sure, where, you fall down in front of a crowd of people, you twist your ankle, you fuck up, and you don't even really feel it because you're just like, you scramble to stand up, but you fucked your knee up. And then, an hour or so later, when the blanket of adrenaline dissolves, you're like, ouch, I'm in a lot of pain. That's kind of what happened with my knee situation when I fucked up my MCL. And then I don't know if you can see this big goose head. It's fucking really sore on my head. I got smacked in the knee in my head. Same person, by the way, that fucked my knee up. Great guy, by the way. Love him. He's great. It's just kind of like a comedy of errors of every time, he does something dumb or I do something dumb. We always happen to do it together. So on Wednesday, I believe, I was trying to spin on my back like I was a Ninja Turtle during jiu-jitsu, and I tried to spin and he tried to like pass my guard or something, and his knee just went right there. And I just remember thinking like, that is certainly going to leave a mark. And it just kind of, I felt a little goose egg pop up, so it's a little swollen, but not a big deal, not a big deal. Hold on, caller, I'm going to put you on hold. So yeah, and that actually did hurt in the moment. I was like, ouch, that really fucking hurt. But when I fucked my knee up, or when he fucked my knee up, I should say, it was painful in the moment, but like I immediately started doing jumping jacks and like running around, trying to prove to him and myself that I was okay, even though I screamed bloody murder. I think I was telling a friend about it. They're like, well, did you tap? And I'm like, no, I didn't tap. I screamed bloody murder. A tap would have been too delayed a response. I was just like, ah! Because I just felt my knee just like stretch in a way that it was not supposed to. It was a horrifying feeling because I'm like, oh, it's gonna rupture. So I screamed, and then thankfully the knee was saved. It was fucked up a little bit, but nothing that bad, that extreme or anything like that. So we're lucky that we're kind of engineered in a way where our brain protects us, and we either pass out from pain, like Bubba when he was skydiving and it ripped the inside of his skin or some shit, and he just went out, because the brain goes, you know what, we don't need to be dealing with this bullshit, and you just kind of knock out, and that's really the best case scenario. So yeah, I'd like to think about lots of things, like what's the worst way to die. Those are some of my bedtime thoughts. What are yours? 813-90-BUBBA. Hello, whom I have the pleasure with speaking with today. Yes, hello.
Can you hear me?
I sure can. Who's this?
Listen, my name is Marius, and I just have a comment about Lahaina. If you ever been there, you have to understand Lahaina. It's in a very remote location of the island.
It's a remote? Is that what you said?
Access very far away.
Okay, so maybe I have not been there.
On the western side.
Got it, the west side.
However, the access to it, it's about 20 miles out of the nearest location. You have only one lane going on very narrow bridges on the land. The access mainly can be done through water, but I'm not sure if there's fires everywhere, so probably the access there. That's why they cannot find people and they cannot get into it because it's very hard to reach.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
That's all what I have.
Okay, well, thank you for that information. I didn't know. I thought I'd been to Lahaina, but when to the untrained ear, Lahaina, Koala.
If you would have been, you would remember, and you were very correct about people being. I only went once there, and when I was living in California.
Yeah.
And people were very, very mean to outsiders, especially in Lahaina.
Isn't that strange? Like, why are you being shitty to the hand that feeds you? I mean, I understand because it's like, you're traversing on their land, and I understand they were kind of
but you are a guest.
Characterized, not what's the word I'm looking for? Not like a caricature of their culture. Like they do the luau and they wear the hibiscus flower, and it's like, dude, what the fuck? Like that's our culture, and you're just kind of, it's a gimmick to you. So maybe that's kind of how they view it, perhaps.
I don't know. Well, I'm sure they're very proud of their ancestry and legacy and everything else, history. But I felt, I went in Lahaina. I stopped to a Publix or whatever, a Safeway they have there.
Yeah.
And they just a guy just. My wife stopped the car in the front of the store so I can go really quick inside, and while she was waiting outside, and the guy just got on my note and started yelling at me, and I almost had a skirmish with him, but
oh no,
I didn't feel.
Well, where are you from, sir? You're not.
I was born in Eastern Europe. I was born in Romania, and I live here for many, many years.
Okay.
And,
I'm like, because I was wondering maybe you could just claim that, you also hate these white tourists too, but you're kind of white, so it's hard
I'm not hating anybody because unlike you guys that are from here, I wasn't born here. And
I wasn't born here either.
The country where I was born, actually, I never knew about race and about hate and about anything like that because my hometown was. I was born in Romania. I said that.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I was in my head. I was just listening to a story yesterday about a girl that was born in Kosovo. So I was like, thinking about that.
No. That's in former Yugoslavia.
I understand that, but it's in the region.
Romania. It's in Romania. I was born in a city which where the Germans emigrated by the beginning of the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
In 1293, there is a church there standing today, building or 1273, something like that.
Yeah.
And we were a melting pot in 1600. So we never learned. There was no race there. Obviously, sure, people say things, but I hear people are too sensitive anyway.
Right. How do you feel about your country housing Andrew Tate? He seems to love Romania. He speaks very highly of it, even though he said it's ruled by the mob.
Who love Romania?
Andrew Tate lives there.
Oh, Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
I saw the interview, Tucker interviews. Listen, I to be honest with you, before I saw the interview, I never knew who Andrew Tate was.
Really? Because he's been pretty hot probably for the last year.
It must, in the last year. But he apparently, post-interview, I realized that he lived there for about 7 years.
Yes.
And listen to me. If you anybody from outside, Romania is a very nice country. People are very friendly. used not to be too much criminality, and even today it's pretty. I mean, there is a lot of corruption. Put it this way.
Yes,
but,
that's what he was saying. He was
that,
saying that he, takes advantage of it because he knows how to swindle the right people. Seemed like.
Well, listen, that's what happened in corrupted country.
You know what? That's what happens in every country, because every country is a corrupted country because every government is corrupt.
That's true. That's true.
Some more than others, of course, but.
Some more than others, but over there in the former Eastern Bloc, it's a lot of corruption that could never be eradicated. And unfortunately, what happened?
Yeah.
A lot of so-called Western democracies got rubbed off on this corruption, and now everybody wants to, because for some reason everybody just sees dollars, dollar signs. I mean, money signs, and they want to have more money.
They do.
I think that's just humanly,
Yeah, just human nature. All right. Well,
Anyway,
thank you, Mr. Romania. I appreciate you very much. What was your first name again?
Marius, Marius. Marius.
Marius. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Marius, for calling in. I appreciate you and your insights. Certainly.
And I just I wanted to call earlier, but during the show when they talked earlier, but I couldn't get through. Anyway, nice talking to you, Anna, and I unlike others, I like you. So.
Oh, unlike others. Thank you, Marius. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful weekend, okay, my friend?
You too. Bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right, we'll take another call. I'm feeling very call happy today. So, hello, who's this?
Hey, Anna.
Hey, guy.
Hey, this is Rollo from Michigan. I just wanted to chime in on
Rollo?
Maui
What
a
was your
little
first
bit.
name?
Huh?
What was your first name?
Rollo from Michigan. I've called in before.
Wallow. Okay.
Anyways,
Yep.
I just wanted to chime in on Maui. I lived in Lahaina for 2 years back in the early '90s.
Oh, dang! So you
And, it was a very quaint town. It was like there was buildings there that were over 200 years old.
Oh
And
shit!
even when they changed businesses, they kept the building. They never changed the structure, and it was very nice there. And I saw that on the news yesterday morning. I almost cried because I lived there, and it was a very beautiful place to live.
Right. So it definitely touches your heart in a special way because you lived right there. You lived right there.
Yeah. Matter of fact, did you see the video footage of, they called it Front Street, which is the main street, like on the news, on fire? Well, I live literally a block behind that, so it's like I could get out of bed and then walk 50
Right there.
100 feet, and I was right there. It was nice. I did that for 2 years. And I never needed a car. I had a bicycle or motorcycle or a moped, and everything's very simple there.
Do you have any
Very
contacts
laid back.
that still live there that you know?
Yeah. Well, my old boss, he passed away a year ago, and I kind of, unfortunately, I'm kind of happy that he did, because if he would have been there now, he would have either died from the fire or seeing it would have killed him, because it was his favorite place in the world.
Okay. And
So
you now
it was
live
a
in
bummer on
Michigan, so you got a lot of range.
I'm in Michigan right now. I used to live in Florida too. I lived in St. Pete for a long time.
Oh
so.
shit! Where in Michigan do you live?
It's a town called Muskegon. It's over by Grand Rapids.
Okay. Yeah. I think I mean, I've heard of it, but I don't know if I've been there. I've been to Grand Rapids before to drop somebody off that had to go to a wedding.
Yeah, Bubba knows where it is.
Yeah, Bubba worked in Grand Rapids. Yep. And it was on my way to, I think I went to Electric Forest and stopped in Grand Rapids. Would that make sense? Or maybe I got the city wrong.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
Yeah.
What is it, Holland? Is it Holland, Michigan? Is that a place, or did I make that up?
Yeah. Holland is actually, I'm at work in Grand Haven, and Holland is just literally next to here.
I know you're doing the map of Michigan with your hand right now, so I can see you pulling up the mitten, going, "It's right here." If you ever lived in Michigan, people go, "Okay, so Detroit's right by the thumb," and you're like, "Oh God." So yeah, I know it's on the west side.
Yeah. Yeah. You lived in Detroit, right?
I did. I lived in Royal Oak and Rochester Hills, if that rings a bell.
That's like a upper area, right?
Yeah, it was definitely more of an affluent area. I certainly was not that, but I was not in what you would call the hood by any stretch of the imagination. I was definitely not in the hood.
No.
I was adjacent to the hood. I could touch the hood with my finger. I went to the hood and got a misdemeanor, but no, I didn't live in the hood. So,
You weren't near 8 Mile or anything like that?
I actually worked on 9 Mile. The radio station that I worked for was in Ferndale on 9 Mile. So I was 1 mile away from the action.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a shithole. And I went to, I think it was a Kroger on 8 Mile so many fucking times. And then when I told someone that I was going there just to pick up snacks and stuff on the way to work, they're like, how about you never fucking go there again? And I'm like, why? It seems great. And they're like, no. It's not good. Because a lot of times what they would do is that, there'd be like a really shitty area and then they would just put like a new Walmart or like a new Target. So you're driving by, you're like, oh, that looks pretty new, not so run down, but the area was bad. So that's what I was unaware of because I was dumb. But anyways. Well, thank you.
Back to the whole Maui thing.
Yes,
I just
Maui.
wanted to chime in on that.
Yeah.
And honestly, my experience I had, because I lived on the Big Island prior to that too for 6 months.
Okay.
And Maui is more accepting of tourists than the Big Island is my experience. I mean,
really? Okay.
Everybody has different experiences when they go, but from my experience, I was there for 6 months and I got to know some locals. Some like me, some really didn't. And white people there are called Howleys.
Howleys. Ooh, I like that.
H-E-O-L-E, that is what they call. And on the Big Island, there are some schools there, they actually have a thing called Beat Up Howley Day. Someone that are really against white people. There are some locals or natives that still they're not too keen to white people. And
hold on, when you say locals and white people, hold on. I mean, we need to make a distinction because there are locals that are white. So
well, they'll call them local Howleys. Actually, the term local really,
even if they're born and raised there.
If they're born and raised there, they're called local Howleys.
Oh man, that sucks. You can't win.
They're accepted because they've been there, but a local is more like if you look like
Polynesian.
A Hawaiian natives are like Polynesian, Tongan, and what's the other one? I forgot the other one, but there's 3 of them that are native to Hawaii.
Well, no one's really native to Hawaii. Let's be fair. So at some point,
the first one's a step foot.
Well, okay, fine. First on scene, fine, but like native, come on. Even with like Native Americans, I'm like, y'all came from Asia. Let's not lie. And then y'all came from Africa, so we're all Africans here. You know what I mean?
Right.
You just got there first, bitch. So that sucks.
Well, they just consider locals the ones that look like Polynesian stuff is close to it, like.
Yeah, what if you're Polynesian? What if you're Samoan and you're from Oceanside, California, like me, and there's a huge Samoan population there? Yeah, I mean, if you just go to Hawaii, they're just like, oh, you're one of us. It's like, bitch, you've been living in San Diego. What the fuck?
They're definitely more accepted because of the way they look.
Yeah,
because they look local, they're accepted more.
Well, isn't that nice?
It's more difficult for a white person. In Maui, it's easier, but Big Island, my experience, it was way more difficult. They're just different there. Each island is different, though.
Well,
I've been to the Big Island, Maui, and then I went to Lanai for a day too. That was pretty nice. That's very almost primitive there. There's probably maybe 100 people. Well, back then there was like 100 people living on that island.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well,
get there by boat.
Yeah. Well, thank you for, teaching me about all the different flavors of racism because I appreciate it. It's nice to hear.
I wasn't trying.
No, I like it. I like it when I hear like, hey, Hawaiians are super racist against white people. I'm like, great. Awesome. It's not just whites, folks. Everybody's racist, which means nobody's racist. So it's cute. It's nice. And thank you so much, sir, for calling in.
All right. Well, I'm just saying things might have changed in the last 30 years, too, because this was 30 years ago.
Probably not.
Happened, so.
Yeah, probably not. It's probably worse. Probably worse.
All right, Anna. Have a good day.
All right. You too, man. See ya later. 813-90 Bubba. Not to kind of rehash something that we did talk about on the big show. Put you on hold, sir or ma'am, or they be, whatever the fuck you are. But and this story really struck me. And I am talking about the decapitated baby delivery story where it's, sometimes you run into stories that are absolutely so fucking horrific that they're like funny again. And it's not funny. It's not funny. But it also kind of is. Because in my mind, I mean, yes, the baby is dead and that's a tragedy and, we shouldn't forget it. Yes, obviously we can file that away under tragedy. But then if we kind of look at the, the surrounding environment and the facts and the cover up, that's really where my dark sense of humor kind of gets a tickle. Because, in my mind, I'm like, what the fuck did this situation look like? So for those that didn't tune in the big show, during the big show, we covered a story out of Georgia where there was a woman who gave birth. She had this doctor, and the doctor was delivering the baby vaginally, and I guess because she's kind of built like a meatball, the mother was built kind of like a she's maybe 4'10" and big. She was built like a meatball, and Dan was saying that, you know, when you have a woman that's that small, usually the pelvic girdle, thank you, Lummy, learned something new. The pelvic girdle doesn't expand, you know, as far as it would if you were a little bit bigger, which is odd because her hips were kind of big, but whatever the fuck. I don't know. I don't know anything about anatomy and babies and whatever. But anyways, I guess the doctor was having trouble delivering the baby vaginally, and, you know, the head was out or crowning, I believe, and they couldn't get it, so she was like, I'm going to just pull real fucking hard, like really hard, and she popped the baby's head off, okay? Now, that's, again, a different situation than, like, breaking the neck, which isn't ideal either, of course, but, like, to completely detach the body, or, sorry, the head from the body, I imagine you would have to use, like, just an insane amount of force, like Dan was saying. Maybe not so much to break the neck, but like to tear the skin. I feel like it's kind of like trying to tear like a yellow book. Remember the yellow book, the pages, whatever? The phone book. You're trying to tear it. Easy to tear the page in the yellow book, but to tear the book itself is a little bit more challenging. And I imagine that pulling the head off of a baby infant that's not even born yet, it would take a significant amount of force. Oh, Tease with the $40. Really making my weekend, guys, and I appreciate you. But really pulling that head off, I mean, the first thing that came to my mind was like the doctor's reaction, maybe like if there were a few nurses. Like, I've had some real shit days at work, not gonna lie. Whether it be here or when I was working at the Bone, or just, you know, when I got fired for stealing lettuce. I mean, I've had a long history of employment and getting fired and whatever, everything in between. I've had some really bad days at work. Never have I ever probably had a day at the level of just complete misery and despair as this. And again, I feel bad for the parents and the baby that got decapitated. But the doctor that was delivering that baby, and she's pulling and she's yanking and she just rips this baby's fucking head off. Was she like, you know, in my mind, like if I were her, I'd be like, oh, shit. And then like you look at the nurses and you're like, shh, 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 like trying to put it back together. You know, I've had one of these situations, not trying to compare, you know, this baby situation to, you know, a baking mishap. But, you know, like say you're baking and you're like, fuck, I used the wax paper instead of the parchment paper. Now I fucking have to throw everything out. Or maybe your cake is undercooked and now you have to throw it out and start from scratch. I'm not trying to, you know, be flippant about this comparison, but you understand where you're like, oh, fuck, you know, and you're trying to, you know, salvage it, maybe squish the cake together so it's a little bit more like a brownie. You're just trying to salvage it. Can't really do that with a human baby. You know, so I just want to be a fly on the wall where she rips the head off and goes, oh, fuck, shh, like Cynthia, shut the fuck up. Okay. And then she's like, you know what? We're going to go, we're going to do a cesarean. Everything's fine. We're, you know, just trying to, you know, it'd probably just be better if we just do a cesarean real quick. Then they do the cesarean, pull out the rest of the baby's body, which is just, you know, everything minus the head. And then to have the audacity to be like, here's your baby, something went wrong. And they literally put, in the report, it said they put the fucking head of this decapitated baby on the body and like wrapped it up like a fucking sandwich and was like, here's your baby. It's dead because of something. I don't know. We probably shouldn't do an autopsy. Just cremate it. Get this the fuck away from us. Like that cover up. Like I cannot even imagine being that doctor. And again, this isn't a story of sympathy, but more of just curiosity. Like how the fuck you just ripped this baby's fucking head off. You're a physician, you know, and to be a physician, and I have friends who are doctors and surgeons and oncologists and radiologists. It's not like you just do a summer course and you're a doctor. It's a significant portion of your life dedicated to this profession to become, experienced. And you go to the med school and you take the MCATs and you take a bunch of other exams, and then you get the residency, and then you have to be a resident, and then and then you have to work your way up in a fellowship. Like, it's a whole thing. And then now you're practicing for many, many years, and then you become this OBGYN. And I looked this bitch up. Like, so it's a woman. She's a black woman. Like, she's done all these amazing, maybe, the first doctor in her family. Maybe the first college-educated person in her family. I don't know. I don't know her family history. But then you go and you're just like, wow, I'm this OBGYN. I'm helping babies. I'm helping mommies. I'm just a fucking bad bitch. And then you fucking rip this baby's head off, And I'm not trying to defend the doctor. I'm not going to do that. But it just kind of sucks that you could deliver 10,000 babies and they're all alive and kicking with their head on their shoulders, and you have one fuck up, just one little fuck up, and you're done. I don't know if this leads to. I mean, I'm assuming this is criminal. I don't know how law works. I feel really dumb when it comes to anything that has to do with litigation laws. I don't really know too much, so I can't really speak on much. But when there's a medical malpractice situation, I'm assuming most of it is civil shit. But then it's like, do you? I understand she probably wasn't trying to play, pop off heads. What in the delivery room? I imagine that it was a mistake. She wasn't trying to kill babies. Does she go to jail? And then what does that look like? It's like, what are you in for? I fucking murdered this person. I raped this person. I was a stalker and killed my ex-boyfriend's new lover. And she's like, I decapitated this baby by accident, popped his head off by accident. What does that look like? Do you go into hiding? I have a feeling that her career of being a physician might be over. Maybe she can kind of transition into what's a low stakes doctor? I don't know. A vet tech? I don't know. I feel like no one will trust her to do anything. And then it's like, now you've lost all the confidence. Think about it, like how Dan is treated here. And within the show, within his family, like you resort to Dan. Dan, tell me about this rash. Dan, I have this thing on my finger. Dan, my knee is fucked up. Dr. Dan, my ear is fucked up from cough. Dr. Dan, I'm sure she was that person in her family. And now she's probably not. She worked so hard. And they're always like, Tracy, I think that's her name. Tracy, like, I got this rash, I got this thing. And then it's like, well, I was going to ask Tracy about it. And then maybe Tracy's cousin is like, let's just back it down. Tracy pops heads off. So, your autistic, 12-year-old niece could probably have delivered that baby better than Tracy did. So let's not put too many expectations on Tracy. She's not doing so well. So, I just kind of want to see that. I would have loved to see not the actual decapitate. Well, maybe I would have wanted to see that, just to see the amount of force. I mean, was she really fucking playing, tug of war with this woman's pussy and the fucking baby and just I don't know. But also I want to see the reaction of where she's like, fuck, shit, fuck. And then, I mean, props to the hospital for fucking, I feel like they could have been like, this doctor doesn't work for us. This is some fucking bullshit. We didn't want to hire her. You guys brought her in. This is your deal. They didn't do that. They were like, we're going to fucking, she probably had some cronies in there where they're like, Tracy, don't fucking worry about this shit. I'm going to get you out of this, girl. Don't you fucking worry. We're going to get out of this. Oh, here's your fucking baby. Wrap it up. Oh, look at your cute baby. Oh, it's dead. Oh, no, we should throw it in the fire. So, props to the hospital for, trying to have this doctor's back. Be like, yo, we're going to... And I know the hospital would also be liable as well and all that sort of shit. But, it was an old college try of trying to cover up accidental decapitation, dead baby Willie. I hate that. That sucks. That super Sucks. And the family didn't even know until like 3 days afterwards when they took it to the funeral home, and they're like, home like calls the authorities, be like, hey, this baby in this head is like, they're not attached, so that's like a problem. You'd think that someone would find out through the pipeline. It's like, how do you cover up that crime? That's another game I like to play with myself, where it's like, you see something, you're in a pickle, you're in a fucking pickle. How do you get out of this pickle? You know, what do you do? I feel like the first thing you do is you call up friends that are smarter than you, and you go, hey, you want to meet for coffee like right now? I thought you were at work. I'm not. Let's meet for coffee. And then you go somewhere, you put all of your phones in the fucking freezer, and you're like, how the fuck are we gonna handle this situation? And you brainstorm, you throw out a few ideas, and if they're real friends, they'll help you bury the body of that dead baby. So I don't know how to get out of that. I think maybe it's the best to just get in front of it and be like, yo, I just fucking popped this baby's head off. Sometimes I wonder about that when I'm in a situation with Bubba. I'm like, I'm in hot water. I bitched about the light being too bright. Wah. How do I recover? Jiu-jitsu's kind of the same way. It's like, oh no, my arm's above my head. It's subject to an armbar. Now, how do I get out of this pickle? Oh no, I'm on my back. Oh no, they're choking me. How do I get out of this? Sometimes it's fun to get yourself into a little bit of a conundrum, a little bit of a puzzle, and you got to solve it. But probably not so much when you just popped a baby's head off. So, interesting stuff. I'll take this call right now. Hello, who's this?
Out of Hummel, it's Joe the Supermarket.
Joe, the show wouldn't be complete without a call from you, sir.
I'm glad you said that. That makes my day. I just want to say something before I get into what I actually called about, because you brought up the Bebe first.
Yeah.
So this, and I'm not trying to be funny, but I have to ask a question because of the 10 years difference in us. Maybe you've never heard this, but there used to be a thing when I was a kid. Mama had a baby and its head popped off. Did you ever hear that little nursery rhyme?
No, that's horrific. That's a really gruesome one.
I don't remember what it was. How about got your nose? Do you remember that? Like,
just like the finger between, like the thumb between your finger?
Yeah, the thumb between the fingers that got your nose. Like, it was just another one of those gimmicks. Mom had a baby and its head popped up. I don't remember why it was done, if it was feeding or whatever the reason was. But, again, I didn't know if you or anybody else had ever heard it. But I'm sure we'll find out eventually.
No, I haven't.
But regardless, the reason I had called is because we're talking about this haircut thing in the beginning.
Yes.
And
cutting it off,
I know
Joe.
that I'm a man and you're a woman, and we're in completely different realms when it comes to hair. But I had nice hair, and I had girl hair when I was growing up. When I was a baby, they actually thought I was a girl.
Yeah.
And my mom called me Josephina. And, curls. But I couldn't grow long hair. I wanted to be like an 80s rocker and grow long hair. But my hair always curled up in the back, so I could never have long hair. So that was kind of whack. But when I turned 18, I started losing it. So I started going, receding hairline Jones.
Yeah.
And then at that time, I could grow facial hair, though. So I grew a nice goatee, and I always had sideburns. And I stayed that way my entire life until 2017. And then finally I decided, let me get rid of this clown ring that I have around my head. I look like Bozo.
Yeah.
And let me just shave this thing down to zero.
Mm-hmm.
And I had gotten lazy, and I had, stopped shaving my goatee on the sides, and I kind of grew a full beard.
Yeah.
And then I went to my barber, and he just lined that all up. So it was drastic. We're talking my whole life.
Yes.
Clown ring, goatee, sideburns. And now I got a full beard lined up.
Totally changes your look, your face, everything.
Yeah, and that's when I stopped caring about what other people thought, and I just wanted to do me and what was comfortable, and that's exactly what I did, and it worked out for the better, and now I haven't really changed it. Now on the flip, I haven't had a haircut this year yet because my barber, she's like 90, and she decided she wants to stay home. So I have a kicking beard. I got disgusting hair pouring off the sides of my head, and I don't know. I'm just waiting to see what kind of flex I'm going to do on that move. Maybe I'll just keep growing it out like Lummy.
Sure. Yeah. So are you just making a comparison to your own life, and in terms of me cutting my hair?
What I'm saying is I made a drastic change.
Yes.
I did something that it was just off one suggestion. I never thought of it, but one girl said, hey, instead of having that hair on the side of your head looking like that, why don't you just shave it all the way off?
Yeah.
And then I went to my barber, and he's like, yeah, and he did it. And, oh, my God, I have pictures from that day, and they're amazing. What a nice-looking man.
Yeah, yeah.
What happened?
Right. Yeah, similar situation. And like I said, there were a lot of things to consider including the way my face is, my nose, how it would look with short hair, my hair type. the heat that I would get from the show and the people in chat. And then, I would say probably most importantly is, what Blitz thought and what he was okay with. Because I'm sure I'd get a lot of heat from feminists about asking my boyfriend what's cool with him, but he's got rules that he's got to abide by. He can't buzz his head off because he has beautiful hair. And I'm like, you need to have your hair a little bit longer because you look like shit when you buzz it off. And nobody liked the goatee. So you need to have more of a full beard, kind of scruffy look is what I've requested. So it would be completely unfair and hypocritical if I were to just do whatever the fuck I wanted. And now he's stuck with this chick that he's not even attracted to because, I look, like I said, I'm trying to think of someone with short. Sinead O'Connor, the buzz cut, whatever. I'm not Demi Moore, so I can't pull that one. But I don't want him to be stuck with someone where he's like, man, you look like shit. Now I got to fuck you. This sucks. So I was very careful. I've asked him several times about do you have any limitations where don't have it shorter than your shoulders or something, something like that. So I've been very careful.
When you first brought it up, what did he say when you first brought it up?
Well, he's like, you probably
reaction.
He's like, well, you might lose, 10 inches of hair and 230 pounds. And I'm like, oh, because you're going to break up with me. He's like, right. So I'm like, oh, shit. No. He was kidding, obviously. But he's like, he trusts me. He goes, do whatever you want, kind of with a wink of within, reasonable bounds. Don't go, chin level or something like that. And obviously that's not what I'm going to do. But I'm excited for something drastic, and he seems to be pretty supportive of it. So we'll see how we go.
On a narcissistic dick level, and somebody may hate me for saying this, but I had my girlfriend of 13 years, and she had done colored hair so many times that it started falling out, and then she had no choice, but she had to take it down really, really, really short.
Yeah.
And then she had, she started getting a 5-head. And then, that was about enough for me. What the hell? Where are we going to go from there? She was starting to lose her vision. Her teeth were starting to gap out.
I feel like that's unrelated to the hair dyeing, or was she eating the dye?
She had diabetes before all that. It just all worked together for the good, so that I could move on.
Okay, well, that's a cautionary tale I probably didn't need to hear, so.
Whatever, dude. Hey, just wanted to say a Tuttle situation.
Yeah.
I hope that there's not going to be heat on day one when he returns, because it sounds like you got a little resentment under your belt from things that he said.
It's not really resentment. It's podcast. More like he creeped me the fuck out. Do you remember that? Or was this may have been when I was at the Bone? I don't remember. It was around 2019 or 2020. It was one of those years. And he did a podcast about which radio personality he would like to consume. And I don't even mean this in a sexual way. This is strictly he wanted to eat me, eat food. And he was talking about my ass, which is fine if you just want to objectify me. But if you're talking about consuming my body like a sandwich, that kind of concerns me. So, yeah, that kind of put me off on Tuttle. I'm like, what a fucking weirdo. And then, now that I'm going to have to be sitting, feet from him twice a month is making me a little anxious. Not that I feel like he's going to lean over and try to fork me or anything, but it's one of those, not fuck, I said fork me. But it's just a little bit odd. And he's a fucking odd dude. And I'm an odd chick, so I get it, but it's a different kind of odd. I'm quirky and funny and smart and adorable and sweet and cute and beautiful and pretty. I'm all of those things, and he's just kind of fucking weird. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but do you think that what he said there is worse than having you eating an apple through a fence?
No, thanks for bringing that up, though. Appreciate it. Fuck you, Joe.
I'm not the one that said it.
Fuck you, Joe.
Hey, by the way, the lighting on you today is just unreal. I don't know if you can see yourself on the screen. But you look like you've been tanning every day.
Yeah, it's the light or lack thereof. So, yes.
Cool. And on that note, I promised I wouldn't compliment you anymore because everybody got so offended.
Yeah, I saw people in chat saying that you'd lick my armpit or some shit. Yeah. So hey, they're just haters.
Can't compliment anybody anymore. We can't
do it anymore.
Nice hair, nice clothes. Can't crack jokes.
Can't say great delts,
can't
great
even
back.
Have a scorecard anymore.
I know, it's ridiculous, Joe. The world we live in.
World coming to on a Hummel. Well, anyways,
I know.
Weekend.
I appreciate you. God bless. God speed, and God bless. Yes. Thank you, Joe, for calling in. In regards to, the haircut thing. I know that, not that we have a huge feminist base of listeners, which I am so grateful for. But, it is crazy in this world that, God forbid, a woman or a man or what the fuck ever asks their spouse, is it okay to do something? And it's not like I'm asking permission, like, he won't allow me to do it. But it's one of those things that's like, if I did it, what would be your reaction? Would you A, be supportive? Would you B, break up with me? Like, and I don't want him to feel like he's stuck with someone that, when you're in a relationship with someone, even if you're not married, you have or a monogamous relationship, I should say, exclusive. You're in this agreement that, you're not going to fuck other people. That's pretty much the premise of any typical relationship. I know there's people who have open relations, the poly and the fucking bi, I don't know. But for most people, gay, straight, otherwise, when you say you're in a relationship with somebody, usually that's the only person you're fucking or supposed to be fucking. So you've trapped this person. I gotcha. And so that's why I'm very careful as to when you start making drastic changes to the way that you look, whether it be gaining 1,000 pounds or cutting off your beard or cutting your hair off or doing something crazy or getting breast augmentation. I think it's important to consult your partner and ask them, what would you think about this? Because I will still, I want to make sure that you still want to fuck me and me to fuck you. And if we're the only people that we can fuck, it would probably be nice if you still they were nice to look at, if it's what you signed up for. I signed up for this person that had long hair. Hey, I signed up for this person that was, 210 and not 610 pounds, that sort of thing. So I think that it's important. And I know that I've said things like this before about consulting a partner about something, and I've gotten some heat for it. And I'm like, but why? Why is that inflammatory if I ask my partner if it's okay? I think it's the way that I phrase it. It's okay. You can do whatever you want. Where are you getting his permission? It's really not about his permission as it is his blessing, He's not going to stand in my way of getting it, but he can very well break up with me, and I'm trying to prevent that from happening. I really do hate feminists. If I might just go on a brief feminist rant for a second, because they really are the worst. They are just so, probably my least favorite thing about them, the thing I hate the most, is that I've never met a group of people that are so void of a sense of humor. Like, they enjoy being angry. I feel like I've never met a feminist comic, and every once in a while you'll see it on like Instagram or something, and they're just absolutely the least funny people that you could ever meet. They hate an entire half of a species, which is odd. They're supremacists in a lot of ways, feminists, and I feel like a lot of women who claim to be feminist because feminist is the right word to use. So they go, I'm that, but also like I don't want to work and shit, and I want to just sit and do nothing. That sort of thing is odd to me as well. It's like, well, clearly you're not a feminist, but you feel like, and it's like, what the fuck is a feminist, and how many waves of feminism are we gonna have? This third wave, fourth wave. Maybe the first wave was cool. Women could vote. Maybe they weren't property, which I know is every man in my sphere, whenever you mention, prior to 1920 when women couldn't vote, and, even before then when they were property, it was all the good old days. I'm like, okay, Dad, great. Thank you, boyfriend. All right, Bubba, got it. Good old days. And if we're being like, reflective, we can go, yeah, that probably wasn't the move to have women, slightly higher than chattel and cattle and whatever. But I think it may have gone a little too far. Sometimes you can do a good thing and take it to a point where it does bad things. Like for me in intermittent fasting, right? It worked, and then it worked too well, and then I became catabolic. Everything relates to health and fitness for me. So, some people relate things to sports. I relate things to intermittent fasting. That's my gimmick. So I think with feminism, it may have gone a little too far. I think it's okay to kind of lean into, well, it is hard to lean into biological shit when, the basis of biological shit has been thrown out the window by another movement of the alphabet soup crew, who are kind of related to the feminist crew loosely, but also not necessarily. So it's an interesting thing. It's interesting times. I like feminists because they're easily triggered. Like, they have no impulse control. They immediately get mad, even when they know that people, like, the patriarchy is trying to make them mad because it's funny. They seem to always take the bait. Just because the bait is in front of you, you got to just be smart enough to not give your enemy what they want, which is a reaction. And again, I'm guilty of taking the bait many times with chat where I'm like, don't get mad. It's fine. And it's funny because, like, I can see the same comment, then depending on the day and how much sleep I've had or what mood I'm in, I could just be like, you know what? Fuck you. And that's usually when I go into my, I might tell you, I hope you get cancer and die. Like, I probably don't mean it. But in that moment, I mean it, if that makes sense. Like, when I'm in a calm, sober state of mind, I can go, yeah, I probably wouldn't wish cancer upon that person now. But in that moment, like, if you guys have seen me, where the heat is real, the feeling is real, the Lummy wasn't invited to the birthday thing. That was real. That was fucking real. A lot of things are turned up for radio. That wasn't. That was real. That hurt my heart. And then sometimes when I react to things in chat, a lot of times, you can usually tell when I'm trying to dial up the animation, but sometimes it's fucking real. And in that moment, if I'm being truthful, in that fucking moment, if I tell you that I hope you get cancer and die, in that moment, I mean it. I really do. Because that's what I think of you. Garbage. That is all for today. I'm going to go cut my hair off. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Be safe. Drink responsibly. Did I say that right? Hope so. Thank you to Brian from Philly, JMH3. I think I said that right. Tease, Sister Girl Tease. Appreciate you. Have a fantastic few days off. If you're awarded that. If you're working, keep working hard. We appreciate you. If you're on the road, FTE all the way. And I love you guys. I'll see you on Monday.